right, everyone out there, we have a truly special guest today, Tom Frank. He is one of the original founders of PF Chang's and true innovator in the hospitality space. So we're super excited. I'm even more excited because you're wearing OpenCity purple.
That's it.
Which is amazing.
Not on purpose.
We'll say it was
Okay,
subconsciously.
it's on purpose.
It's on purpose. So we're super excited. And after PF Chang's, you started really taking your passions to the next level when it comes to culture and company culture, which I think is really fascinating. I think culture is something that really shapes who people are, who the brands are, who the businesses are, and who employees want to be a part of, and where customers want to be. So I'm really excited to hear your thoughts on culture and why you decided that path.
You know, we're at the Restaurant Leadership Conference, and everybody's talking about culture.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I think everybody's misusing the word or overusing the word. People don't really understand what it is. People think that, no, I mean, everyone's talking about different aspects of culture, but as far as I'm concerned, it's pretty simple. Culture is as culture does. Mm-hmm. Culture is what exists in your company. It's not the poster on the wall. If your company has a poster on the wall that says we're a drug-free company, and you've got bartenders selling crystal meth to your hostesses out back, guess what? You're not a drug-free company.
Yeah.
And you're probably the only one who doesn't know it, because your employees know what your culture is. And we have to really be able to distinguish the difference between culture and culture aspirations. What you aspire to is not always what exists. There's a great saying by Howard Moskowitz. He says, to a worm in horseradish, the whole world is horseradish. And so one of the things I do when I go into companies is really go in and discover what the horseradish is that your employees live in. But culture is kind of ephemeral. We have to decide, you know, how do we define it? How does it become a part of the day-to-day culture, part of the experience for the employees? When I talk about culture, I talk about the daily operation of the restaurant and how it shows up for the employees. Mm-hmm. I've been very lucky because I've opened a lot of restaurants with a lot of people, and I got to open up a restaurant with Willie McCovey. Do you know who he is? The baseball legend. Baseball legend Willie McCovey.
I lived right across from Giant Stadium in San Francisco for a couple of years.
Yeah, he's the only one I've ever met that has a statue of himself somewhere, anywhere. Anyways, I've never been a big baseball fan, so Willie taught me a lot about baseball. And I remember sitting having dinner with him one day, and he said to me, you know, Tom, we never had a perfect shift. We never had a perfect game, but we trained for it, and we practiced for it, and we ran out to the field every day thinking, this could be a perfect game. Now, I didn't know what a perfect game was. Do you?
Yeah.
What is it?
No runners ever on base for the pitcher.
Yeah, 27 up, 27 down, no runs. No, I had to Google that.
Yeah.
And I thought about it, and it kind of made me sad because I've worked a lot of shifts as a manager in restaurants, and maybe I had a perfect shift, but like, I don't know if I did because I don't know what one is.
Yeah.
So I started thinking about it, and I thought, you know, at least baseball players get to run out to the field every day thinking today could be a perfect game.
And you have a scorecard, so you know.
And you know, there's only been 23 perfect games in the history of Major League Baseball. And you know what it is. They get to go out there, and I thought, well, shouldn't managers know what a perfect shift looks like? Shouldn't they be able to train for it and practice for it? Shouldn't they be able to hire for it? And shouldn't, you know, I mean, who gets credit for the perfect game?
Pitcher and the catcher.
Yeah, I've talked to a lot of people. They think that the catcher really is the one who does it, but mostly the pitcher.
Yeah.
But what about the manager? What about the person who decides who are the right people to put on the right places at the right times on the field?
Do you do a shift?
Right?
Do you not do a shift?
Right. What about, you know, if you're pitching a perfect game, but there's a pop fly into left field, someone's got to catch it.
Yeah.
So really, it's a team effort, right? So I think to myself, in order for us to understand not only what a perfect shift is, we need to understand what goes into making a perfect shift. We need to understand, how do we put the right people in the right places at the right times? How do we train people, and how do we get people excited about running out to the field every day thinking today could be a perfect shift? Think about how much excitement is around a perfect game in baseball, or even the possibility of a perfect game in baseball. But why aren't we doing that in our restaurants? Why aren't we creating those the enthusiasm that maybe today could be a perfect game? But for me, it's perfect. Everybody's got a different idea of what a perfect shift look like.
Yeah.
For me, it's simple. I just want everybody to show up on time for work. I want people to wear the right uniform. I want people to care about our customers. I want the deliveries to show up on time. I want food to come out right. I want the employees to be happy, and I want the customers to be happy, and I want everybody to want to come back. Everybody's got to stop and think about what the perfect shift looks like, and then get everybody around that, coming in every day thinking that today could be a perfect shift. See, to me, that's the kind of culture I talk about.
It's interesting.
Now, I call my company Round World Management. And the reason why is because I've always been fascinated with people who got on the boat with Christopher Columbus. Like, what did they have in mind?
Yeah.
Everybody was telling them that they were going to fall off the edge of the earth and die. But what were their aspirations? What were they thinking was going to happen? I think about that, and the reason why I call it Round World Management is because in my career I've worked with so many flat world thinking people and so many flat world thinking companies that believe that there's only one way to do things, and if you try to do it differently, you're going to fall off the edge of the earth and die. So what I've been doing is going around and kind of identifying round world versus flat world thinking. To me, flat world companies, flat world thinking people, are companies that manage through policies and procedures and rules and regulations. These are people that when they have a decision to make, when they have a problem to solve or an issue that they're having, the first question they ask themselves is, what's our policy on that? What's our rule? Flat world companies think of it like, if we don't have a rule for this now, we need to make a rule, which means that they have to have another meeting and another meeting and another meeting. Round world companies are different. Round world companies manage through their values and their beliefs and their aspirations and goals for the company. So when a round world company has a decision to make, when a round world company has an issue to solve or a problem that they're dealing with, the question they ask themselves is, what do we believe about this? How does the solution that we need for this fit into our goals for the company and our aspirations for the company? That's the difference between round world and flat world thinking. And to me, that's culture. And that's what I work on.
Interesting. So if I own an individual restaurant in a small town, what should I do to think about the culture that I'm providing for my team and adjust it?
Well, I think the first thing you need is to make sure the culture is important to not only you, but everybody around you. Mm-hmm. People need to understand that in order to be the restaurant of choice, you have to be the employer of choice, mm-hmm. right? That and what does it mean to be the employer of choice, right? And right now, especially with the unemployment rate as low as it is, it's all that much more important that everyone understands the importance of being the employer of choice. And that means having a culture that people really feel good about coming to work. For me, the idea of culture was very easy. Even when I was a busboy or a waiter, it was very simple for me. I just wanted to come to work every day and feel good about myself, right? So for me, this idea was simply about being able to come to work every day and being judged on the quality of my work and not my waist size or mm-hmm. anything else. To me, my understanding of the culture I wanted to work in was a place where I was valued for the quality of my contribution. So when I started managing restaurants, or I started owning restaurants and opening restaurants around the country, I started to realize that in order to create this better world for myself, I needed to provide it for everyone around me. Not my better world, but their better world. So the first step for a company, even in a small town, is understand what is this better world that we're talking about? What is the culture you're trying to create? But start with the selfish. What is it I want as an owner? What do I want to come to every day? How do I want my restaurant to feel? And then listen to your employees, listen to the people you're hiring. Now keep in mind, I'm very dedicated to creating this kind of culture. I'm very dedicated to creating this better world for my employees, but that doesn't mean I'm going to work hard to create a better world for somebody who doesn't want to care about showing up on time for work.
Right.
I'm not going to work my ass off trying to create a better world for somebody who doesn't care about me or my customers. So the idea is that now I have to surround myself with people who have the same values and beliefs, but we need to know what those are. So you need to really start with a foundation of what is it you're trying to create? What are the values? What are the beliefs? What are the aspirations that you all have? And what are those shared aspirations? And how do we hire people that at least are on the same path in the same direction?
And how do you think that translates to customer experience?
Listen, I think if you walk into a restaurant and the employees don't feel good about themselves and don't feel good about being there, you'll taste it in the food. But when you walk into a restaurant where people are really enjoying themselves, when the employees really like being there, you'll taste it in every bite. I think it actually affects the flavor of the food, because you can taste that. You know, if people are bitching about their job or unhappy, I think you can taste it in the food, don't you?
Yeah, the way you phrase it, in my head I have a flavor. I'm looking back to bad experiences and good experiences, and I have the salivating flavor of my mouth about what that is like.
Yeah.
And it's interesting.
But I think people really crave being around happy places,
Yeah.
and happy people.
Yeah.
And I think that it makes a big difference for the customer. I think it makes all the difference.
It's really cool. Tom, this was amazing. One final question.
Sure.
If you go into a restaurant, what's your favorite one item to get?
What's my favorite item to get? I've been asking waiters for years 3 questions.
Yeah.
I say, first of all, how much time do you think you spend with the average customer?
Mm-hmm.
Second, what do you think your job is
Yeah.
as a waiter? Third, what do you consider a good tip? But the other question I ask is, if somebody hands you the menu and says, order for me, and I give you 4 questions, you can ask them 4 questions. What 4 questions would you ask that customer to help you determine what it is that you want them to order? When I answer those questions, and I've worked with a lot of companies on this particular issue. The idea is, what is the objective of all of this? And it has to be the same thing. What is going to make this customer want to come back? So when I go into restaurants, I don't say, what do you recommend? I say, what do you think that I should try in order for me to want to come back? And that's what I want.
Interesting. Because I always say, what should you recommend? I'm going to start using that now. I like that.
What do you want me to have? I think about Sam's Sandwich Shop. I don't know if there is a Sam's sandwich, but imagine.
Think of Belsito's Deli.
Yeah, Sam's.
Yeah.
You walk out and you see this new sandwich shop, and you go in, and I love sandwiches.
Yeah.
And there's a guy behind the counter, an old guy, and I say, "You Sam?" And he says, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Congratulations, Sam. How long have you opened?" He said, "Well, I used to work for the post office, and I saved a bunch of money. I decided to spend all my money and open this sandwich shop."
Yeah.
And I say to him, "What should I order, Sam?" And he says, "Well, all the sandwiches are good." I'm like, "No, Sam, what do you want me to order?" And he says, "We got, pretty much anything you order is going to be good." I'm like, "Sam, you invested in your entire life savings to open a restaurant, and you can't tell me what to order? You can't tell me what you want me to order?" There has to be a compelling reason why people order off of a menu. And I think it's really important that Sam, if he's going to invest that money, knows what he wants me to order.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I like that.
I think it's important.
Yeah.
Let me tell you what I tell the waiters when they ask me, what is a good tip? What do you think is a good tip?
I usually always just do 20%. If they're great, I do 25%.
Mm-hmm. Here's what I teach waiters. A good tip is more money than they would have given another waiter. So now we have to unfold the psychology of tipping, of why somebody would want to give you more money than they would normally tip. I've done a lot of research on tipping, and I found out that most people tip on habit.
Yeah.
And how do you get people out of their habit to want to give you more money?
Interesting.
And if they do that, and if they tip their waiter more, your restaurant will be more successful.
That's interesting. Awesome.
This is what I do for a living. Can you
I love
believe
it. I love it. I love it. This is awesome.
Good. I hope that's what you were wanting.
Yeah, this is fantastic. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to
Good.
chat with us today.
Thanks.
Thank you.